Welcome to Odyssey Impact's launch for the new video resource, Healing the Healers 3, Youth Mental Health. I am Reverend Dr. Tawana Davis, pronouns she and her. I am the co-founder of Soul to Soul Sisters, a nonprofit organization based in Denver that focuses on racial justice. I am also a partner, a friend, and moderator of these Healing the Healer series. I had the opportunity to moderate the previous Healing the Healers on domestic violence, and now I'm honored to be here to work closely with Healing the Healers for youth mental health at Odyssey Impact. Today, we are thrilled to share highlights from our three-part award-winning Healing the Healers video series, Youth Mental Health, and introduce to you our beloved community of Healing the Healers, featuring faith leaders who are experts and advocates for youth mental health initiatives. With the robust number of attendees signing up today, we know that this topic is front and center at many faith leaders' minds. Please note, per Odyssey's commitment to accessibility, you should see a button below to access closed captioning for this event. And today we are joined by our ASL interpreter, Selena Flowers, from Pro Bono ASL. Thank you for joining us, Selena. I want to respectfully acknowledge the Lenape people who have stewarded the land for generations on which Odyssey Impact is located. And I respectfully acknowledge the Susquehannock, Nanticoke, and Piscataway people who have stewarded the land where I am located. And for those who are vision impaired, I am sitting here with this beautiful stole of young people, just representing the importance of young people and addressing mental health issues and challenges. I am also sitting in my office with beautiful pictures behind me of my family, and I am sitting among beautiful beloveds on this Zoom screen where we build community. A quick bit about Odyssey. We are an interfaith media nonprofit which drives social change through innovative storytelling and media connecting faith and secular communities. We are the producers of the Golden Telly Award-winning film series, Healing the Healers, which provides faith leaders and educators with conversations like these today. Candid sharing between colleagues about how to respond to the most challenging spiritual care and justice crises. We are grateful. We are so grateful to the Lilly Endowment for their generous support of this project. And to acknowledge two important crisis numbers as we talk about youth mental health, I want to lift up an opportunity for you to text hello to 741-741 or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. Youth mental health is a mental health. Our youth mental health with Healing the Healers is a mental resource. It's not a crisis or a suicide response tool. So if you or a friend or a loved one are in crisis, please, we will continue to put up these numbers to text or to call for your safety and your well-being. Both services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As depression, anxiety, and loneliness has increased and suicide statistics have risen for youth during the past almost 2 years now of this pandemic, as well as trauma, unrest, hope, and opportunity of the current social and racial justice movements. How do we as faith leaders, faith communities, chaplains, parents, and teachers meet this crisis? How can we offer spiritual care and help to our youth in this moment? This crisis affects every faith community. This project consists of 3 30-minute episodes while accompanying an educational toolkit, this is a way to start the conversation. So we're giving you tools in order for you to start the conversation for youth mental health. The video clips we are showing today will be clips from Healing the Healers Youth Mental Health Video Resource Series. These are no dramatic reenactments, but you will hear colleagues talking about their experiences and sharing their thoughts with each other about this very difficult topic. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of yourselves while viewing and hearing the conversation. We want to highlight as part of our expert discussion guide that accompanies this video series. Odyssey includes a trauma-informed screening guide, which was developed in partnership with and led by the expertise of Reverend Dr. Storm Swain, who is here with us today. And now, we are honored to introduce our latest Healing the Healers project with this 2-minute project trailer. And when we return, we will hear from our beautiful panelists.
We need the imam to speak up, the priest to speak up, the rabbi to speak up, to help destigmatize what mental health should mean for youth.
We've got to make sure that we break the silence on this one, because young people's lives are at stake with it.
I felt like for years that we were behind. We need to ask hard questions.
We're reactive
and not proactive.
When the church couldn't talk about such issues, then God couldn't either.
One of my students says mental fatigue. I'm worried about their burnout.
I had my own experience where I was struggling with self-harm and suicide ideation, and suddenly I saw everything through this lens of mental health.
I always say to young people, it's okay to have all the feels. Mm-hmm. Are you scared? Okay. Angry? Okay. Frustrated? Okay. It's okay. The faith community is uniquely poised to address what is happening in our country. We're afraid to say the word suicide.
If they're thinking about it, they're already thinking about it. Mm-hmm. What they need is for someone to say the word. From personal experience, hearing it gives you permission to open up.
I said, how about next time we get together, I teach you what I do through Star Trek. This bridge up here, this is your brain. But these two things back here, they are the feeling engine and the thoughts engine.
We started a global drumming group. We figured that after a year and a half of pandemic, pounding on something is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing if children and youth would ask, what does my brain need right now? As opposed to saying, what's wrong with me?
When we feel, we heal.
Yeah, when we feel, we heal.
Creating safe spaces where people feel seen and heard and validated.
That gives you permission to open up. Mm-hmm. And that's
how we save lives.
So for today, each of our panelists come from varying backgrounds of leadership, experience in building safe and supportive communities for youth. This is not easy work, but it is crucial work. So I would love to hear from each of our panelists on today. And our first question or questions, what is top of mind for you when it comes to your work right now? And how can this series be helpful in equipping faith leaders to respond? To kind of add a part B to that, a question came in from Chicago. So in other words, what is our plan of action? And we can start with Tandra.
Thank you, Tawana. My pronouns are she and her. As you mentioned in my introduction, I'm the Director for Healthcare Systems Initiatives for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I have also served in youth ministry for more than 20 years. I also would like to take a moment to respectfully acknowledge that I live and work on the ancestral homelands of the Kickapoo, the Peoria, the Kasaikasia, the Potawatomi, and the Mia peoples. So I want to take that opportunity. And for those of you who are visually impaired, I also want to let you know that I am working from my home. I am a medium brown-skinned Black woman wearing glasses, a red shirt, and a red and blue colorful jacket with a red necklace. So, Tawana, your question is about what is our plan of action? What is our toolkit? And in the series, I think that each of us talk about very actionable things that we as faith leaders can do to support youth, their mental health and their suicide prevention. But what comes top of mind for me is that the faith community needs to prioritize mental health in ministry. It needs to be interwoven into every aspect of the work that we do caring for youth. We have to be comfortable speaking openly about it and promoting connectedness among youth. And you talked a few moments ago about creating supportive, brave, courageous, loving spaces for youth so that they know that if we're talking about it as leaders, that they also can talk about it and it's safe to do so.
Thank you. Thank you. Reverend Arnold, would you please share with us?
Thank you very much. I am Talitha Arnold. My pronouns are she and her. I am speaking to you from my office, the United Church of Santa Fe in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I respectfully acknowledge and give great thanks for the people who have lived and prayed in this land long before I came. I very much appreciate to build on what Tandra just said, and also what Daniel said in the video clip. This is the time to break the silence. And I know, just speaking personally from my own experience as a teenager, during a time in which my family was dealing with very severe mental health issues with a family member, and also living in the wake of my father's suicide when I was 2, and granted this was in the 1950s and 60s, I never heard the church talk about such things, and the silence was deafening. And it wasn't until I was 31 years old that I ever heard from the pulpit a sermon that used words like suicide, schizophrenia, mental health, mental illness. And I was the preacher for that sermon. I never intended to go into this work because of my family history, but sometimes God uses our lives in new and different kinds of ways. And so I think the continuing needing to break the silence, as both Daniel and Tandra have done and the other panelists have done, is a real, and also as Odyssey is helping us do, is a real gift. And this particular series, given the fact that it is so multicultural, multi-religious, multi-faith, multi-racial, I think it will be an incredible resource in all kinds of ways for all kinds of people, so that congregations, no matter what their faith tradition is, can build on the foundations of love and care for their young people.
Thank you. And that's a nice segue to Daniel, as I asked Daniel to answer the question, pretty much what is the plan? And you're going to talk about tools. But there was a question from in the chat that also said teens often want to reach out for help, but because of their situations at home, they often don't want their parents to know. So if you can weave in that little bit for us, Daniel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure the audience would appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. I use he, him pronouns. As Tawana mentioned earlier, in addition to having my own experience with mental health, I'm a current PsyD student at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And most recently, I was the engagement director for the Chicago region of United Synagogue Youth, which is a Jewish youth group across the United States. Like my co-panelists, I just want to take a moment to respectfully acknowledge and thank the Kickapoo people who have stewarded the land that I'm located on for generations. And for anyone who's visually impaired, I'm at home in my dining room that does not have any pictures on it because I recently moved. And I'm a 28-year-old white male. I have light brown hair with glasses, and I'm in a navy blue shirt. So I think that, like, to go on with what Tandra and Reverend Talitha were saying, reweaving those connections that have kind of faltered a little bit over the last few years, and reweaving those real connections, both between teens with each other and their peers, and also between ourselves as youth pastors, youth ministers, youth group workers, whatever it might be. Strengthening those ties again in a more on the ground, less virtual world is going to be, I think, one of the the biggest points of action for me, at least in the work that I continue to do, and just kind of re-getting acquainted with all the teens that have changed a lot over the last months, weeks, even years. And Tawana, I'm forgetting the exact question that it was, but about how to help teens who might be nervous about their parents knowing things. And I think that it's important that teens know that we as youth, as faith leaders in youth communities can be that trusted adult. That's one of our roles. It's one of the most sacred parts of our jobs, is to be a trusted adult that they can come to, and for teens to know that the only way that we would ever betray that trust is in a life or death situation where we believe that it is the only way to remedy a situation or to help them. And otherwise, the trust that they have with us is of paramount importance to us and the work that we do.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That was very helpful. As we prepare to show 2 clips, we want to highlight that the series involves practical wisdom and tools, as well as a deep, honest discussion of experience supporting youth who are in trauma. Speaking to what Daniel was just talking about, we explore ways in which leaders can bring greater understanding to the important connections between mind, body, and spirit to help support youth and build better networks and trust and build a rapport. So we like to share 2 short clips from the series now.
One of the first clients that I had as a student therapist was this adolescent kid that was court ordered. He didn't want to be there. And like literally every question I asked him for the first 45 minutes, he responded, "I don't know." "Hey, how you doing?" "I don't know." "Okay, what's your name again?" "I don't know." And at the end of the session, he started to take his hoodie off and he had a Star Trek shirt on. So I'm a Star Trek fan. And so I was like, "Oh, you like Star Trek?" And that was the first thing he didn't say "I don't know" to. And so I went, just to try and poke the bear, I was like, "Star Trek Voyager is the best series." And he was like, "No, it's Next Generation." I was like, "Ha, I found something." And I said, "How about next time we get together, I teach you what I do in therapy through Star Trek?" And he was like, "Okay." And so I created this little model that I use. I'm going to show you. And so I said, I want you to think about yourself like this. This is your body. This bridge up here, this is your brain, where the captain sits and makes decisions. But these 2 things back here are your engines. Now, he was a real Trekkie, so he quickly corrected me and said, "Those are not engines, they're nacelles." And I was like, "You're right, they are." But for this model, they're engines. And they are the feeling engine and the thoughts engine. And the deal is your feelings and thoughts drive your behavior. So if you're the captain and you're saying, "I'm going to behave this way and I'm over here," you need to know why. You need to be a good captain, and part of that is learning about your old stuff. And it was so funny because he kind of bought into it, but I knew he bought into it the next time he came back, because he came back into session and I said, "How's it going?" And he totally did the Scotty voice. He was like, "But my mom won't leave me." And I was like, "Okay, but you're thinking about your engines. You're paying attention to what's going on." And so being able to have those kinds of relationships that, you foster rapport with people, and you can sit with them in those times that you don't have the answer and be honest about it and go because that's hard for us to go, "I don't know. I don't know what the right thing is, but I know that this ain't right." I don't know what the path is forward, but I will commit to being here with you.
We come from these traditions that have disciplines, right? Mm-hmm. So I checked in with one of my mentors, and she reminded me that this work has to involve meaning and purpose, and that I need to ensure that my own spiritual reservoir is fueled. We're surrounded by crisis. We're surrounded by political or geopolitical crisis. We're surrounded by a mental health crisis. And one thing I've recognized is I don't have to have all the answers. I have to be able to be present, right? And this idea of just being able to sit with the pain or through the pain.
We don't have to solve every problem for them, but what we can do is we can interject just that existence might be bigger than the one that they feel when they're in that state of trauma.
There is just so much wisdom in this series. And I want to switch gears for a moment to talk about how we lift up this incredible moment in time, this moment of deep reckoning, of justice movements, of change. How do we as faith leaders help youth who may be carrying both the weight of opportunity and hope, along with fatigue, stress, and trauma? We go deeply into this series. And just to give you a quick caption of the guide includes expert reflections from each episode, discussion questions and recommendations of resources. We also have additional resources written by some incredible people of faith, which include highlighting specific needs for the LGBTQ+ community, and a powerful written reflection from Lisa Zeev, Executive Director of the Blue Dove Foundation, and her daughter, Yael, both writing from their perspective as they tell their story of facing youth mental health challenges in their family. One thing to note, for ease of use in small group study groups and classrooms, each episode is segmented into shorter themes to allow for flexibility. So we hope that you will take advantage of this awesome resource. This is an amazing resource full of a lot of wisdom and a lot of basic tools that you can use to meet our youth where they are and serve them in this capacity. And feel free to reach out with questions or to purchase this and to begin a deeper conversation with your faith community surrounding your mental health. Whew. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Odyssey Impact. Thank you, everyone, for this moment and for just giving everyone just a taste of what they're about to experience, this powerful movement in helping our youth with mental health. And again, thank you, Odyssey Impact, for doing such an amazing job with keeping us at the forefront of these social justice issues. We are so grateful. Thank you for attending. And I'm Reverend Dr. Tawana Davis, and I'm honored and grateful to be a part of this amazing movement. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.